listeners and viewers, to another week of education, the Teachers Talking Terror podcast, where myself, Mike,
and myself, Courtney,
are going to talk about another scary movie. This one really not so much scary as much as it is just horrific fun, but fun nonetheless. And to make it even better, we do have a special guest this week. Courtney, would you like to introduce our guest?
Yes, this guest is one of my childhood best friends, Erika.
There she is. Hello, Erika, and welcome to the show.
Hello, I'm excited to be here.
Because this is how we handle guests on our show, it was your pick. And so M3GAN was your pick, and I'm sure the behavior of this M3GAN named doll probably hits a little close to home for you, doesn't it?
I do have a sister with the exact same spelling of M3GAN.
Instead of an E.
So I was, well, not the 3, but the name itself. But so I was really excited to see something about something evil named M3GAN running around,
just to see how true to life it was,
wreaking havoc on everything.
So, fair enough.
Yeah, I just wanted to see if there was like a one-to-one comparison.
And so, yeah, of course, you know the format. Although it's been a while since we had a guest, and so we have to get back into the guest fold. So, Erika, you brought this to the show. Before we get going too far, is there anything? How'd you end up on our show, aside from being one of Courtney's childhood best friends?
Well, I love movies. I love scary movies, and I love movies that are also kind of not necessarily bad, but very like tongue-in-cheek. I like something that is not afraid to be maybe a little bit stupid at times. I like something that knows what it is going into it. So I read the reviews about M3GAN, and I was really intrigued because it didn't seem like the traditional sort of scary movie that it would be, like because you'd assume it'd be like Chucky, and it's definitely not that. So I love scary movies. Courtney knows that about me, and so she
this movie
reached out and asked me to pick something
campy, and that it doesn't take itself too seriously. It knows what it is, and it has a lot of fun doing it. And I also am a big fan of movies that fall into that category. So, but M3GAN just came out a couple of months ago. Debuted December 7th and actually released in theaters in the United States January 6th. So just a month and change that this movie's been out. There's probably still some theaters where it's still showing. And so it isn't very often that Courtney and I talk about a movie that's still pretty fresh. Although Skinamarink was probably the freshest we could have talked about, and it wasn't worth talking about. I've actually been on a few different Facebook, horror groups, and some people are like, "Should I watch Skinamarink?" No, I comment every time. No. Some guy last night was like, "I'm 40 minutes in, and I'm hating this. Should I finish it?" No, you shouldn't. No, just do yourself a favor and something else. So, but M3GAN. Courtney, how do we want to handle the plot of this one? Should we just sit back and let Erika carry it all?
I mean, I think she'd do a great job at that, but
I know she would.
I don't know if she'd want to.
I don't know. I kind of hop around. That's my problem. Is I hop around
She's like me.
immediately to what I think is funny or interesting.
We try our best to stay somewhat linear in our plot development, but we're looking at a very heavy-handed allegory for technology dependency, especially amongst kids. So I was excited to watch this because I was like, Courtney and I are going to have a lot to talk about when it comes to the teacher side of this. And so, we meet our main character, Katie. She's with her parents, but not for long, as she's in a car accident. Both her parents die. She's on her tablet a lot. She's got this like computer connected, really
Furby,
really ugly.
Yeah.
Like it had human teeth. It was really disturbing looking.
Yeah.
And they get in an accident, and Katie's now an orphan. And she is sent to live with her aunt, Gemma, who is a robotics engineer at a toy company in Seattle. Funky toys. And I feel like and you guys might agree, Gemma seems to be like really ahead of the game. Like she seems to have more ability than what this little toy designer needs.
Yeah.
Because she designed that
Yeah,
the first
definitely.
toy that she was playing with, and it was fun because like the movie starts out with like a commercial for
Mm-hmm.
toys, and so they drop a couple of those in there, which were kind of fun. But I don't even remember what the name of that dumb looking toy was. But she designed that, and she's kind of put to the grills by her boss because they need something bigger and better because people keep reverse engineering their designs and coming out with it cheaper. So uh, yeah, so we got Gemma and Katie who are trying to bond. Gemma, I get the sense of no desire to have children, but now she's a mom.
No. Yeah, I do feel really bad for Katie here because it's like, boom, you've got
Right.
kids, and
And it's really
poor Katie.
neither one of their
Yeah.
fault. I mean,
No,
obviously
it's
the
not.
accident wasn't their fault, but like, they both lose here because neither one of them are in a situation they want to be in, and it does take time to figure it out. You can't just, put on your parent hat and decide, well, this is what I'm supposed to do now as a parent.
Mm-hmm.
You get your whole lifestyle changed. So we meet down in the lab. What are her friends' names? What's Gemma's co-workers?
David or no, that's her boss.
David's her boss.
David's her boss. He was so annoying. I
He
could
was
not stand him.
awful, awful.
The way he talked.
Tess and Cole.
Tess.
Those
Yes.
are the colleagues, Tess and Cole. And so, Erika, tell us how we meet Megan.
We meet Megan because they are working on her. We meet her without her face. She doesn't have a face yet. They just ordered, or just received actually, the silicone face to put over her. And we immediately find out that Megan is supposed to be a secret. She is not something that the company that she works for knows about yet. And she doesn't have a face yet. And so you don't exactly know what she's going to look like yet unless you've seen the trailers, and you don't know what she's capable of yet. You just
Now
know
we
that
know she's a
she's a
secret because
secret.
she's in the basement. I mean, that's a dead giveaway. But how does
Yeah.
one keep if she has a boss that seems like Gemma has a boss that seems to have her thumb on her all the time? How does she secretly spend $100,000 on this prototype without him realizing it?
As someone who works in the corporate world, I don't know how you can get away with that.
No
There's
kidding.
like so many like checks and
Yeah.
balances on like, hey, where did this like small amount of money go to? I can only imagine trying to sneak through $100,000. The only way I can think through is that she had to be lying about where it was going and saying
Right.
it was
Had to
for
be,
the
because
production
like
of this
nobody
new
keeps that
toy.
much in petty cash. So
No.
so yeah,
No.
like you said, we meet Megan and Megan like malfunctions immediately because they forgot to put this red herring of a sensor in
Yeah.
place. Something that definitely will not come back later. Um, no.
Not foreshadowing at
And
all.
so, but yeah, Megan is played out to be this lifelike android that like pairs with a child, and in pairing with it's very much like Betamax in Big Hero 6, in that like the more they're together, the more they
Yes.
bond, and the more Megan gets to know about Katie and can be there as kind of a surrogate friend slash parent. So Gemma gets to kind of relax, like, I created a parent for you. Here you go. Here's your best friend. And it scratches every itch because Gemma doesn't, I won't say she's disinterested in parenting. She just doesn't know how to do it. She
Yeah.
cares about Katie, but at the same time, Katie, who is extremely tech dependent, now gets like the ultimate tech to depend on.
Mm-hmm.
And so, yeah, David intervenes at just the wrong time and shut this down. And I need the next prototype for the next dumb animal on my desk by Friday. So she has like a week. And Gemma, being a good employee, just shuts it down and forgets the project altogether, and we move on. No. Gemma takes Megan home and
Yeah.
decides, I will finish my work here. So
And this is where Bruce is discovered.
yeah, Bruce is like prototype 1.
Yes, I loved Bruce. And I don't know, like I
Same.
thought it was so cool how they did this. Just
Right.
because I've not seen a lot of movies with robots or anything, so just kind of turning it on and everything. And this is where she discovers like Katie is so fascinated by Bruce, and so she knows Katie's gonna love Megan.
Yeah. Bruce reminds me a lot of, this is me being a movie nerd. There's I won't call it an old movie, but older to you guys, called Robot Jocks, that is kind of like Rock'em Sock'em Robots, the movie, where it's very similar that you've got these giant robots that are controlled by these gloves, and then they fight. And there's a lot of movies that are very similar to that. They do it again in Pacific Rim, where you've got these giant ocean monsters that they create these giant robots for, but they like link with the robots, so their movements are like the human movements or the robot movements. And so yeah, but this kind of technology is really cool, where it seems kind of like a Wi-Fi control.
Yeah.
But yeah, Bruce is just like collecting dust in the corner of the garage. Like,
Mm-hmm.
so Gemma clearly is very intelligent, and
Yeah.
very good at what she does. And you're right that she figures out, hey, if she loves Bruce, she's gonna love Megan. And so, yeah, we get Megan paired with Katie, and basically, like, Gemma's putting all her chips on the table here, because she's like,
Yeah, she is.
she's like, I know I'm supposed to have been creating that dumb Furby, but I'm going to go against my CEO's orders and actually continue working on Megan, and then show it to him.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what they do.
And I mean, it wins David over.
Oh, yeah.
So in the end, like, because
It would have been a short movie if it didn't.
Yeah. But I don't know. She's creepy.
Yeah,
Megan
I
is.
know, I love it. I love it. Because, like, I mean, because she is, it's one of those borderlines of, like, too lifelike. Like,
Yeah.
She stands in the uncanny valley for sure.
There's enough there that it looks realistic, but enough off that it's not. And so,
Yeah.
and so I think that's cool, because there's no denying, it's like Annabelle or Chucky or the scary clown from Poltergeist. You look at those and you're like, those are clearly toys. You look at Megan, and from the shadows, you could be tricked. Until you basically saw her face and heard her speech patterns. And so Megan's a hit, Megan's a hit. Everybody loves Megan. The problem is, Gemma did too good of a job on Megan, and the AI component of Megan has basically become sentient.
Yeah.
And this is something I really enjoy in movies anyway, when you take science fiction type material like this and you place it just in the realm of unbelievability. Because I've got high school students I was talking to them about AI art generators and things like that, and these kids are just fascinated. But at the same time, it took them all of 30 seconds to be critical. Which is typical for a kid, because we pulled up a website where they would generate AI art, and I was having kids tell me, what do you want it to draw, and be as specific as possible. So these kids are like, I want to see Tom Hanks eating a hot dog, or something like that. So I type it in, and in like 30 seconds, it generates 4 different images, all of them very well done, but none of them good. None of them working. It did not look like Tom Hanks eating a hot dog. And in no time flat, these kids are like knocking it. They're like, oh, that didn't even look good. I'm like, you guys are missing the point. Like, this was a website that took very specific details of what we're talking about and created it in 4 of them in 30 seconds. Like, and all of them are better art than any of us could produce. And so it's funny how like desensitized today's kids are to technology, because if it still doesn't satisfy what I want, then it's still no good. And I'm like, oh my gosh, like, it's so hard to please. But Megan is a pleaser. She can handle everybody. We also meet Gemma's neighbor, who is
I forget
terrible
Celia.
Just a terrible lady that, like, there's a hole in the fence and the dog keeps coming through, and like she washes, I don't know, like, she just tells she's a terrible neighbor. And like, it's kind of interesting, the relationship that Gemma and Celia have, because they clearly don't like each other, but they still are kind of bound by respect for their neighbor. Because she just, like, they just kind of yell at each other, and they both just kind of go about their day like, oh, not a big deal, just dealt with Celia. And so, yeah, we're kind of rambling off the rail. I'm rambling off the rails here. Yeah, so Katie and M3GAN are paired. They're paired.
And they are, I mean, like, M3GAN is just doing everything.
Mhm.
Like, she reminds her to flush the toilet. Honestly, I need one of these in my classroom because it's like, reminds her to wash her hands, reminds her to put a cup on the coaster.
Yeah.
Wow, I love M3GAN at this point.
All things that Gemma has tried to do, and Katie's not responsive
Yes.
to it. But once the tech tells her to do it, oh yeah, that's fine, I'll do it.
Mhm.
And so it really does feel like a win-win all around here, until we get the therapist involved.
And she makes her cry.
Yeah, the therapist makes
And-
Katie cry, and that's real.
And that's downhill. Yeah, that is not good. M3GAN does not like that. M3GAN does not approve.
She's been
of her
programmed to
crying.
basically you're programmed to protect who your like number one paired person is.
Mhm.
Like Gemma's number 2, Katie's number 1, so she's looking out for Katie, and she doesn't like what the therapist makes her emotional. She doesn't like. Well, there's an incident where Katie's out back shooting shooting a bow and arrow, and she can't find the other arrow. Well, M3GAN sees the other arrow. It's on the other side of the fence. How? I don't know. Doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Then we see Celia's terrible dog, drags M3GAN in, and it's kind of cool because the movie sometimes you could tell that it was a little girl playing M3GAN, and then sometimes it was
Yeah.
just a doll playing the doll.
Mhm.
It's almost like Toy Story, where like when Andy's not around, they wake up, and when he is around, they like I don't know why M3GAN didn't fight the dog off while he was biting her.
Yeah, I know, especially
Yeah.
after seeing what she can do,
Right.
but
So
Yeah.
whatever.
What was the dog's name? Baxter, something like that. It really doesn't matter.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah. So the dog bites M3GAN, and then Katie goes to save it, and the dog bites Katie. And
that's the
Yikes for the dog.
Yeah.
The dog made the
There's
wrong
another-
choice.
with the wrong person.
we get another scene where
Yep.
Gemma, like Katie's not doing school very well. So
Mm-mm.
Katie's going to enroll her in some alternative thing where she basically goes to like a day camp and plays. We get that kid Brandon.
Yeah, he's a jerk.
Yeah, and again, like this scene here, none of these scenes ultimately fit the narrative other than just to showcase what M3GAN's capable of, which is
Yes.
perfectly fine with me because they're fun.
Yeah.
Brandon is bullying Katie. Like they're in the woods looking for some kind of nut. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
And Brandon's basically being a jerk, and M3GAN shows up, and she takes care of
Thanks
Brandon.
to Brandon.
But it's like she like grabs him by the ear, rips his ear off. But first you get like a good like 6 inches of stretch to it.
Yes.
And I'm like, that's just fun.
Stretchiest ear
It's
ever.
like a kid could get a really, really large gauge in there. Or small gauge, or whatever you measure gauges with. So we find Brandon. He ends up getting hit by a car and dies.
Yeah.
And then we cut back. Like M3GAN takes Celia's dog, and it gets killed. Or she did that before Brandon, but Celia comes from next door.
Yeah, she's fired up
Yeah.
here. Like, she's called the cops. She's like, she took my dog. I see that little blonde girl staring out at 3 a.m. And, like, it's freaked Katie out because, you know, you can see, like, M3GAN can see her stress level and anxiety and everything. And so she's like, I'm going to do something about Celia because she's not going to harass my people anymore. And so Celia only looks for her dog in the dark.
Yeah, because
The best time.
Yeah.
The best time.
And she hears a little something, and
goes to the shed.
yeah. And M3GAN
Goes out to the ship and meets M3GAN. Gets to fully
Hello,
meet
I'm
M3GAN.
M3GAN. And M3GAN's armed.
Yeah, she is.
She shoots Celia in the hand with a nail gun to like pin her to the lawnmower tire. And then what was it, like
Mm-hmm.
insecticide or something?
Yeah, because that's what I think. I mean, like, that's what they were fighting about
Yeah.
in the beginning,
Yeah.
was like, she's
Oh,
like,
that's
keep your
right.
chemicals out. So it's like, we'll just bathe her with chemicals.
Right. So she just like she kills her with all these chemicals. That might take a while.
Yeah, that.
Like I don't know much about insecticides, but if you get enough of them on your skin, do you die?
Yeah, so it, like, I only know that because my dad works in chemicals,
Right.
and like the right ones will just acidically just peel your skin off.
Really? Huh.
Yeah.
Well, this is an
Yeah.
educational podcast, so I've learned something today.
Yes.
I mean, obviously, I try not to handle chemicals anyway, and that makes sense because it's a chemical. But it's like,
Mm-hmm.
you think like that's the crap that we're putting in our ground.
Yeah. Yeah.
Shouldn't do that.
Oh yeah.
Oh well.
And now it's like the police show up the next morning at Gemma's house, and they're like, she's like, I don't have her dog. Can you tell her to quit
Right.
harassing me? And they're like, that might be a little hard.
Yeah.
And there goes Celia in a body bag. And this is the point where it's like, Gemma is starting to kind of wonder if this is like M3GAN.
Yeah.
Because she asked her, like, have you done something, not good? And M3GAN's like, oh, you had to be more specific. And she's like, have you done something to hurt someone? And she's like, oh God, I hope not, because that would mean that you did too. And it's just like, this is where it starts to hit the fan and go bad.
Yeah.
Yeah, you start realizing how smart and manipulative
I know,
M3GAN
and it's
can now
fun.
be.
It's a lot of fun. Yeah, so Gemma, basically now that almost everybody out of the picture, Gemma's now under detective hunt to figure out if M3GAN's doing it. Apparently M3GAN has the capabilities to, I guess, talk to all technology. Like,
Yeah.
She appears to be like Ultron in this sense. I don't know if you guys are Marvel fans, but it's kind of how Ultron is. He's just this sentient AI robot but he can like his essence lives in the tech. It's not like if one robot named Ultron gets taken down, the next robot like takes over that personality, and so it's like. So, like, Gemma's checking her computer, and these files are all corrupt or deleted, and so, she's really suspicious of M3GAN, trying to check these video logs that are no longer there, and so M3GAN tricks her Gemma tricks her with the whole, do you see this pen? And then shuts her down. Like, apparently the on-off switch is right there behind the claw. Turns her off, takes her back to the lab, where Katie freaks out.
Yeah, she does. Ooh, girl, you be walking on the side of the road if you were my kid. Like, get out.
Yeah, it's really, really showing the danger and addiction that kids can have
Sure.
to
Yes.
technology.
So yeah, like Katie smacks her, like
she's cussing at her.
She just flips out. Gemma steps in and reacts like a movie parent would do.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I'm really sorry, Katie. I haven't been there for you. Blah 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 blah. What I've tried with M3GAN is not a solution, et cetera, et cetera. It's like that's what a movie parent would do. You're absolutely right. One of my kids started acting like that. I'm pulling off the side of the road, and we're handling this until it's over.
Yeah, I specifically remember a scene where I acted like that, and I remember my dad pulled over and pulled me out of the Jeep. Like, yeah, I was just like, when she slapped her, I was like, oh my goodness.
No kidding, yeah. So, meanwhile, David is orchestrated another M3GAN showcase for different investors. They're going to push her worldwide. So they do this unveiling, and it appears like it's not going to go to plan. Because Katie and M3GAN get real emotional and real deep with each other, but that actually like hits all of these heartless investors, and then they all start crying, and
yeah,
we're like, wow, this is a terrible toy. If you have a sad kid, And like this is a therapy. This is a support device. This is not a toy.
Yeah.
And so Gemma, Tess, and Cole, they're trying to they're just trying to destroy Megan at this point. Like they're trying to get her shut down. Gemma's like, I got to get Katie out of here. This is not safe. Tess and Cole, they're going to try and shut her down. David shows up. It's like, it doesn't work. Long story short, Megan is on the loose now. She kills David in the elevator. She kills David's assistant, we find out, this plot line went nowhere. Like, they showed him earlier stealing Megan's files. And then later on, like, it's revealed he's the one that's been selling them off to these competitors for, so that they can make knockoffs. But it's like it went nowhere.
Mm-hmm.
Other than just giving another person to kill. The David murder was kind of fun because they've got the
that was my favorite part.
this little like murderous dance she does with a paper slicer. What do we even call those things, Courtney?
Yeah, they're
Like the choppers, like a paper.
Yeah,
what do you even
I'm
call
doing
them?
this like
I know,
like people will know. They're like the paper blades on
swing.
Teacher.
I like paper chopper. They're paper trimmer, paper cutting board. This one says swing line guillotine. Like, yeah, this is.
Do you know?
paper guillotine.
Okay, yeah, like
They're
because
expensive.
True, they are.
I'm looking at one here on Granger. It's $250.
Mm-hmm. Why do you think we only got one at the school?
No kidding. I mean, you can get an X-Acto one on Amazon for $100, but still $100.
Yeah.
Just use scissors, people. Oh well. Yeah, she rips the blade right off of that thing, and
yeah, she does.
Takes it to
And then the Kurt is in there, and he's like, why would you do this? And she's like, but I didn't do it,
Yeah.
you did. And she's like, you've hated your boss, or everyone hates you, and like, you've been worked here forever, blah, 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 just goes on, and then kills him.
Ugh.
And then just at the perfect timing, they get downstairs, and they're like talking about, all right, guys, we need big reactions from you when we present Megan.
Here she comes.
And I thought maybe it was going to show her, but no, it showed this just bloody elevator of the two bodies.
Yeah.
And the crowd did make noise.
Yeah, they reacted as they were supposed to, nice and loud. Yeah, so those guys are dead. Megan then hops in a sports car because, of course, she knows how to drive.
Yeah.
Well, it's a Tesla,
That's
so
true.
she can just connect.
That's a fair point. I missed that makes sense that they would put a Tesla.
I missed that connection too. So
yeah, so she hops in the sports car and drives to Gemma's house. Gemma tries the whole pen trick again, and Megan, no, she's not doing it.
She's not done this time.
So Katie's in bed, and Gemma and Megan are basically, I won't call it a fight because Megan's winning, but they're in the kitchen basically like, hey, everything's okay, go back to bed, we're fine. And just as Megan's distracted, Gemma throws a glass of water in her face, which is not good. Mm-hmm. It's not good on technology. As a technology coordinator, I can say anytime you introduce a liquid to an electronic, it typically doesn't go well for the electronic. So,
yeah, same
here. Megan kind of shorts out a little bit, just enough time for Gemma to get down to her lab, and they're fighting it out. Megan threatens to rip her head off. Like it's just fun. Yeah. Katie shows up, and Megan confronts Katie.
And Megan wins her over too here because, like, again, it shows Megan can see how you're feeling, and like her trust is up to 97%. And Gemma at this point is like, I'm screwed. Right. Like
she needs to get Katie in acting classes because
she does.
You just tricked an AI. That's pretty good.
And lo and behold, who does Katie have?
She activates Bruce.
Love it. I was so glad Bruce had a
Yeah.
comeback.
So Bruce and Megan go at it. Bruce picks her up and tears her body in half. And then, being the bumbling idiot that he is, trips over her legs.
Yeah.
Which pins Gemma to the ground.
Yes.
As Megan's, like, Terminator torso is crawling towards Katie.
Okay, this part was a little creepy. And just like the way that she was running in the woods.
Yeah,
I
like,
meant to say that earlier. When she was chasing Brayden, I was like, what the heck? Like, that...
Honestly, I was laughing.
She reminded me of one of those, like, Boston Dynamic robot dogs. Like...
She reminded me of The Grudge.
Yeah, that's true. Only a little faster than...
Yeah.
So Gemma gets loose and starts fighting with Megan and rips her face off, which exposes that chip, that aforementioned beginning of the movie chip that keeps it all together. And then Katie comes running in and stabs her right into that chip with a screwdriver, saves the day. I guess. I mean, they go outside and then we catch the movie's version of her Alexa waking up. Like, Megan is still around.
So is it really the end? Is Megan really gone?
And I did read a sequel titled M3GAN 2.0.
Of course
is
there is.
Scheduled to be released January 17th, 2025.
Of course there is. This movie cost $12 million to make and it made almost $170 million. Of course there's a sequel.
Yeah, there's going to be a couple, it sounds like, with that.
Well, it's like, because, like, essentially you have nobody in this movie. Allison Williams is probably the most recognizable. And if you haven't seen Get Out, you probably don't recognize her anyway.
Have you seen Get Out yet?
Me?
Yeah.
Of course I have.
There was one that was based on that you hadn't seen yet, and I was like, oh my goodness. Man, I don't remember what it was now. I'll have to think of it. But it was one of those. Erika, have you seen Get Out?
No, I haven't.
So good.
I've seen a horror movie that someone hasn't seen.
You've seen a lot of scary movies I haven't seen because I don't watch a lot of the more recent. I won't say recent, but if you were like, oh,
what Erika and I consider the classics,
right? Like The Conjuring. Like, come on.
Yeah.
I was an adult when that movie came out, and I'm not even that old.
I know. When you sent that, Erika, he's like, classics. You guys are so young.
I know. Oh, these classic movies. I'm like, good Lord.
I mean, like a staple, you know? It's like an easy go-to. Like, oh, you need to, like... Because I feel like we grew up at slumber parties being like, we should watch a scary movie. Let's watch The Conjuring.
I know. Yes. I felt bad for you.
It was either The Conjuring, The Haunting in Connecticut, or The Grudge.
Yep. Haunting in Connecticut was one of my favorites, though.
Mm-hmm. So, yeah, those are classics to us.
That's fair. No, but whatever. Like when you're like, oh man, I feel bad for you.
I don't blame you.
Like that classic haunting, that 14-year-old classic Haunting in Connecticut.
If it makes you feel any better, my dad had me watch Nightmare on Elm Street as a kid, and we lived right by Elm Street. He told me it was the same one.
Fair enough.
So,
like The Conjuring came out 10 years.
Come on, Brad.
10 years ago. Like,
yeah, so we were both able to drive.
They're not classics if they came out. If they came out when you were alive, they're not classics. Well, I shouldn't say that because I refer to Nightmare on Elm Street as a classic. I was born when it came out. So, but I get where you're coming from. You're generational type. But it's like, that's the thing is they're still so recent. That it's like there's so much before that you know, then you're like, oh my god, these classics. I'm like, wait till you get a hold of something that's 70 years old. You know, came out in the 60s, like a 60-year-old movie, and you know, and you're like, oh, what's that? Like, classics 13 years old. What am I supposed to do with a 60-year-old movie? So, but that, ladies and gentlemen, that's the classic movie M3GAN that just came out a little over a month ago. It's a classic. That classic movie about artificial intelligence.
Got that right.
that old found technology of AI. So, let's grade this thing. What do you say, Courtney and Erica?
Alrighty.
All right.
Erica, you want to go
Yeah,
first?
Erica, you got to go first.
I'd say I'm going to be really generous here. I say it's going to be B for me because I really enjoyed it. I had a good time. I didn't think it was necessarily like scary. I thought it was fun. I just had a good time watching it. So I'm being really generous
Fair
with
enough. Courtney?
Alrighty. I like how she says she's being generous when I've given like 99% of the movies A's.
Yeah. All right.
I really like this movie. It was a fun one as well. I agree with you on that. I'm going with the B plus just because like I like the ones. I mean, I say this every week. The ones that are gonna like jump scare me or stay with me afterwards. I will say the scariest part of this movie is how addicted kids are to technology and how true that is, though.
Yeah, I'd say the only part of this movie that made me jump is when Gemma and Katie show up at home and the dog jumps at the car window. That startled me. But other than that, it was just a fun ride. I'm going to go along. I'm going to give it a B as well. It was just fun. It fits that category of you don't have to really pay a ton of attention. You don't have to understand what's going on.
Yeah.
It's not going to be realistic. It's going to be fun. And if you're okay with fun, it's got about as much gore as you can get out of a PG-13 movie. But it's just a fun ride. I really enjoy movies that are like that don't take themselves too seriously, but people still show up for, and I get that as well. So we got a B, and a B plus. Fair enough. So, all right, Courtney, I'm going to flip it over to you for your educational lesson for the episode.
Alrighty.
Kind of an obvious one, I think.
Yeah. My educational lesson is going to be parents, please parent. Like, technology is not a free babysitter for your parents. It is not a supervisor for your parents. And, like, I'm not saying don't let your kids be on technology because sometimes it's the only thing that's going to save a kid in the car is watch a movie.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that because I will not be that parent. But just please do not let your kids be ruled by technology because, like Erika said earlier, it is so addictive.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I see it even just with the kindergartners. They know how to work things better than I do. They'll want to take a picture on my phone for me to send to their parents on Dojo if they've worked on something during a play center or something. And I'm like, yeah, let me pull the camera up. And they're like, Miss Jones, I know how to do it. And it's like,
of course you
what?
do. Yeah.
Yeah.
Fair enough. Erica, if you were a licensed educator, what lesson would you like to give? But I also know you've spent some time in the tech industry, so please share.
Yeah, I definitely go right alongside that. I think technology is a great thing. I am a huge supporter of technology, and just like Courtney said, I'm not someone who would be absolutely no technology for kids because I think there are a lot of benefits to technology, but I also think there's a line, and I think this movie does a great job of showing the codependency, or just the dependency, I guess, that kids can have on technology for every little thing, and you don't want your kid to have so much of a dependency on something that they can't have a normal conversation with somebody else. If they can only emotionally rely on technology, that can go down a whole rabbit hole of issues of being on the internet and trusting people you shouldn't trust, and it just gets really dangerous. So I think it definitely goes to show that you need to take an active spot in your child's life and emotional well-being to make sure that while they are on technology or connecting with technology, that they are also being safe about it and know the line of how far they should go.
Excellent. I'm going to go right along with you guys, but I'm going to add to it is parents come up with a plan, even if you have to research a plan. We don't necessarily know where education or not education, where technology is headed, but we do know it's going to advance, and so build a plan around what you know about right now. For example, my daughter's a sixth grader, and I know a lot of her friends have a phone and have had a phone for quite a while. She does not have a phone because our plan is when she reaches a point where she is going to be away from us, say at a sports practice or something like that, to where then she would need to get a hold of us, then that warrants a phone. But until then, no phone. And we've expressed that to her. We've explained that to her, and she understands it. And she doesn't push for it. She doesn't ask for it, despite the fact that she's surrounded by people with phones at school. And I think that helps because it keeps her in the moment with some of her friends that don't have phones. You know, it allows them to gravitate towards each other. Um, but I'd say definitely have a plan. You know, the parent features on different devices are there for a reason. Don't hesitate to use them. You know, we've got it set up on all of our kids' devices that they can't download an app without parental permission. I trust my kids, I really do, but I also want to know what they're doing. Um,
Yeah.
you know, my daughter, the only social media she has is a Pinterest account, and it's my Pinterest account, so that any conversation she has in the comments of something, anytime somebody replies back to her, it shows up in my email. I'm not doing it to be a snoop. I'm doing it just to protect my kid. And we talk about it, and because we have a plan. And so I mean, she's even said before that she's had somebody ask her, you know, how, you know, to send her a picture and how old is she? And she just on her own replied, I don't think my parents would want me to do that. And she didn't. And so have these talks, have this plan. As like I mentioned earlier, I'm the technology coordinator in our school district. Like technology is huge in my career, and it definitely has a place. But you plan, just plan. Shoving a tablet in your kid's hands and then, like you said, expecting it to be the babysitter, that's not going to go well. They're going to find themselves in areas of the internet they shouldn't belong to. And you can navigate that with a plan. So, a plan. Okay. Courtney, do you have anything in mind for next week?
No, I've been seeing some scary movies on
Uh
TikTok
huh.
that I want to look a little bit more into,
Okay.
but not yet.
Okay. Okay. Then I have one. Actually,
Okay.
this is at the request of my wife. Um,
Okay.
so let's watch for next week a. Let me look at the year real quick because it's probably a classic. Uh, it's 2009, so it's right in that classic zone for you guys. Let's watch 2009's Drag Me to Hell, a
Okay.
supernatural horror film directed and co-written by Sam Raimi. I'm a huge Sam Raimi fan. He really cut his teeth on the Evil Dead movies. He also made the Spider-Man trilogy for Sony. He made the most recent Doctor Strange movie. He's a very polished filmmaker. But he definitely has a style, and his style shows up in here. This movie has its moments. This movie is has its gross moments, and it's overall it's another one of those fun movies. You're not gonna lose any sleep over it, but it's a good ride. There's some good scares in it, and it deals like with supernatural and kind of gypsy curses and things like that.
Okay.
But she had asked, she goes, "Has Courtney seen Drag Me to Hell?" I said, "No."
No, no, I haven't.
I think because I
Surprise.
think you guys should watch that one. I'm like, perfect. So
There we go.
next week we will cover 2009's Drag Me to Hell, starring Alison Lohman and Justin Long. I like Justin Long. I like Alison Lohman too. She kind of dropped off the face of the earth, but it was a lot of fun for
Yeah,
sure. So
I don't recognize her, but
yeah,
I do him.
she hasn't been in much. She was in some good things, and then I guess just I don't know, got blackballed or something. Who knows? Um, so that's what we're going to be watching for next week for sure. It was another hit. $30 million budget, 90 million box office, so it made its money back plus some. But it's a lot of fun. I really like that movie, so we will watch that next week. Erica, is there anything you'd like to plug for yourself while we're here?
Not really. No, I was just really excited that I got to be a part of this, watch a movie with you guys, and
Anytime.
about it.
I
Well,
said
I'll take you up on that because I have lots of fun movies.
that's
So,
fine. Yeah.
She's already sent me one. I mean, it's not out yet, but I don't remember what was the name of it, Erica. Do you
oh, I
remember what
can't
it was
remember what
called?
it's called, but it was a preview before M3GAN, and I immediately texted Courtney what was going on. I'm like, Courtney, this is full of jump scares. You're gonna need to see it. It looks so good.
Let me see.
Evil Dead Rise.
Oh
Oh,
yeah.
yep,
Oh
there we go.
yeah.
That's why.
With
Yeah.
fair. Okay, kind of full circle here because the Evil Dead franchise was started by Sam Raimi.
Mm-hmm.
And then they did.
When you said that, I was like, I've heard that before, but
Yeah.
I know I haven't seen
There
it.
were 3 Evil Dead movies that he wrote and directed, and then they just went away for a while, and then they did a remake of the original that is also really good. It was better made, but that's only because the first one was literally a group of friends out in the woods with a camera kind of thing. But it's really effective. And then there was a TV show called Ash versus the Evil Dead that was also really good. And then this Evil Dead Rise, I've seen the trailers. It does look really good too. So, but all this started with Sam Raimi and his idea. So now, yeah. So you'll get your first introduction to Sam Raimi, not with Evil Dead, but with Drag Me to Hell. But yeah, I definitely want to watch Evil Dead Rise also because that also looks really good. So
It does.
well, if that's it, you can find us on social media: Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. You know, the usual. If you're watching on YouTube, feel free to like and subscribe and do all that stuff all the other YouTubers tell you to do. Otherwise, tell your friends because we have a lot of fun making this show. If you got anything you'd like to see us cover, let's hit the comments, and we would love to discuss it on the show. So for Deducation, I want to thank Erika for being our guest today. Thank you, Erika, for your recommendation and attendance. We really enjoyed having you, and I hope you come back. And for Deducation, I'm Mike.
And I'm Courtney.
And we'll see you guys next week.
Bye.